To my dear teacher, Sir Jomar, a pleasant day to you, sir. I am General Pagbago, a grade 11 STEM student, and today I am here to present my study entitled Effects of Social Media to Academic Skill of Selected Student at Landy National High School. But before we proceed to the main discussion, let me introduce myself again. I'm General Pagbago from Aristotle Group 7. Chapter 1 contains introduction, background of the study, statement of the problem, and significance of the study. Introductions. The communication in today's social world is evolving quickly thanks to social media. The emergence of social media is having a big impact on the student academic life. Institutions and academics are constantly experimenting with social media technology in hopes of enhancing collaborative and knowledge building. Since social media is now approved by higher education institutions, serves as forum for students to interact with their professor, fellow students, and other higher authorities. Background of the study. I brought to you this content for us to conduct the research, for us to evaluate the relations of social media to the student and how it affects the daily life of the student. I come up with this study to identify the effects of social media to academic skill of the student, determine the positive and negative impact of social media to academic skill of the student. The researcher interested to explore the advantage and disadvantage of use of social media. Now let's proceed to the statement of the problem. There has been a numerous study that claims that there's a lot of different impact with the use of social media, especially to the student. The goal of this study is to investigate those different aspects of social media to academic skill of the student. The problem is stated in order to have a clear and concise representation of the issue that need to be addressed, providing all the statements that I mentioned. The researchers are intending to answer the following questions. How does social media affect the academic skill of selected students at Landy National High School? What are the effects of social media on the academic skill of selected students at Landy National High School? What are the positive and negative impact of social media to academic skill of selected students at Landy National High School? Significance of the study. The findings of this study would benefit the following: school. The result of the study can be published to school papers for them to support and raise awareness to school. Teachers. The result of the study would help them to understand the situation of the student and for them to guide the student to overcome the difficulties they encountered. Parents. The result of the study would help them to understand and give moral support for their children as they encounter the effects of social media. Student. The result of this study would guide them to be prepared on the possible problem that they will soon to encounter. Future researcher. To those who will soon to conduct research study, this study will serve as their basis to know more about the effects of social media to academic skill of the student. Now, let's proceed to Chapter 2. This chapter contains review of related literature, foreign and local, and synthesis. Review of related literature local. Social media use has become more widespread and seems to be here to stay, changing the students interact, connect, and socialize, and becoming a crucial part of their social and cultural lives. As a result, students spend a lot of time on social media. Therefore, in a light of new education norm, and particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, this study investigates the effects of social media usage on the student academic performance. The statistic findings indicates the respondent perceptions of how their use of social media impact their academic performance have a significant impact with a probability value associated with of 0.05 alpha level of significance. Review of related literature pollen. Facebook is a vital component of the student's daily life. Facebook had a big impact on undergraduate student academic performance in Kuwait. The purpose of this study was to ascertain how undergraduate students in Kuwait use Facebook affected their academic performance. The research gathered information from the private and public college in Kuwait, seeded through in-depth interview, focus group discussion. This study found that Facebook has a positive effect on undergraduate student academic performance in Kuwait City. Facebook has a huge impact, a very active medium of communication, particularly among the students of higher institution of education. The student gains a lot from it and can quickly communicate with one another, engaging with peers, share materials or research resource information. Synthesis. The research therefore concludes that social media has a huge impact on academic skill of the student. According to the study, social media affect the daily life of the student and also affect the academic skill of the student. Let's proceed to Chapter 3, which is the research methodology. Chapter 3 contains research design, research locale, research instrument, ethical consideration, and data gathering procedure. This chapter provides an overview of the research method used in this study. It contains information about participants, such as the eligibility requirements, who the participants are, and how these are sampled. Research design. The research used descriptive design to conduct the study. This method of research will collect data that describe the effects of social media to academic skills of selected students at the National High School. Research locale. This study was conducted at Landi National High School. Landi National High School has junior high and senior high. The research focused on selected students at Landi National High School. Research instrument. The research used questionnaire as their instrument in gathering data from the respondent. These questionnaires are certain sets of questions that will help to answer the mentioned statement of the problem. Ethical consideration. The principle of ethics is a system of moral principles that use to judge their actions as right or wrong, good or bad. Ethics research requires an ethical perspective of the study process. We have 4 ethics: anatomy, beneficence, and non-maleficence and justice. Based on this research study, we will consider non-maleficence. Using non-maleficence, the result of the study would benefit the student. Employing non-maleficence, the research should not harm the participants in this study. Other concerns will similarly affect the researcher, who will only accept the truth shown by the experiment result. In addition, the participants in this study will receive letter request that permission to participate in the study. Data gathering procedure. The research followed the following methods. First, seek permission before conducting the study. Then questionnaires were distributed personally and via online to the respondent to get the necessary data to the study. Third, the collection of data was tabulated and presented in the study. And lastly, the result analysis and data conclusion based on the data gathered and presented were formulated. Chapter 4 contains Table 1, Table 2, Table 3, showing the responses of the respondent about the issue. Presentation, analysis, and interpretation. This qualitative case study examined the effects of social media to academic skill of selected students at Landi National High School. The preceding sections provide development essential principles as well as significant subjects. The researcher gave each of 5 respondents in the study plenty of time to respond to the interview question. The in-depth interview lasted approximately 1 hour and covered the essential of recalling the effects of social media to academic skill of selected students at Landi National High School. Table 1 discussion: how social media affect the academic skill of the student. The result of the study demonstrated that most of the students who used social media said that they had been affected by it because of their spend more time on different social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And it also showed students spend their time in social media are more likely to perform a poor academically. They don't read books, they prefer to spend their time on social media chatting and establish acquaintances on social media platforms. Table 2: Effects of social media to academic skill of the student. The result of the study demonstrated that most of the students who use social media said that it affected them in a way of overusing it and spending more of their time on it, because typically students utilize this platform for leisure and entertainment rather than for academic. Table 3: Benefits of using social media to academic skill of the student. The result of the study demonstrated that most of the students who use social media benefited them in a good way, that it aided their needs whenever they needed information for a topic and also helped them to connect their teachers and fellow classmates. Chapter 5. It contains the summary of the findings, conclusion, and recommendation. Summary, conclusion, and recommendation. This chapter presents the summary of the findings, the answer, the specific problems on Chapter 1, where conclusion are crafted from the result of the findings and the recommendation suggestion by the researcher. Summary of the findings. This study sought to determine the effects of social media on the academic of the pupil of Landi National High School student. The researcher observed skill as part of the process and strategy. This study participants were chosen students from Landi National High School. The case study timing during the COVID-19 pandemic had an impact on both caliber of participants and the researcher capacity to interact with them. Although the study is being processed to the participant, it was often challenging to keep the learner's complete engagement in material and the viewpoint of them about the effects of social media. Based on the study and interpretation of the data, the researcher came to conclusion that utilizing social media has both beneficial and bad effect on the user, which vary depending on the students. Social media can aid you in your academic achievement and boosting up your confidence, but in some manner it can also damage you if you are being dependent on it. The difficulties they ran into when using social media were that it affected their attention and interest in finishing tasks and participating in more physical activities in class. They also had trouble managing their time, spending the majority of it in social media rather than completing the tasks. Although social media is necessary for life, some people are overly reliant on it, which can be detrimental to their academic performance and overall health. Similar to the study, the present study found that social media used in the classroom had a significant impact on how students learn and interact with one another. Social media is increasing necessity for students as they utilize it to communicate with their teacher, and as a platform of information for quick access to sources of knowledge. Conclusion. Social media has both positive and negative effect, but you may use it to your advantage and benefit of others by using it simply thus or as a convenient information source that saves you so you can spend it with your family. In pandemic, social media is a medium we use to stay in touch with our friends and family without having to put our lives in danger or make actual contact. Through social media is a vital event, though it has negative effect, it can be still effective in education. You won't get hurt by social media if you use it properly with parental and school direction. Recommendation. The following suggestions are made. The researcher advised that if you use social media, you should consider how it might affect your academic career. The time management be covered in the discussion of the subject to help the student understand how vulnerable time management is and how it can be help them establish routines, set goals, and understand priorities rather than wasting it on social media. And parents and teachers should be given control over and direction using social media. So thank you so much for listening on my virtual presentation entitled Effects of Social Media to Academic Skill of Selected Students at Landing National High School. As a researcher, I am open for question, suggestion, and recommendation. That would be all. Thank you.